My name is Rhapsody, his name is Sneaky Teak, and welcome to Super Auto Pets Beta. How's it going, bud?
Super.
Super.
Super. It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Glad to be here. I'm doing awesome. I'm like, just came from a soiree.
Ooh,
you know, I've just gotten home and kicked my shoes off. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I took off my green wingtip John Fluvogs, and I came and sat in my task chair to play this game where you attack enemy otters with fish and camels.
We might attack enemy otters with fish and camels. I mean,
we might be otters. This actually looks like a hype start.
It is pretty damn hype for a start. If you're not super familiar with this game, don't worry. You'll get it over the course of it. It's not particularly difficult. In fact, would you like to very quickly tell us a little bit about the kind of elements that you see on screen?
Yeah. I can introduce this. I've been thinking about introducing games like this. So I'll do just a quick UI overview, and then I'll kind of bring it all together. So the Super Auto Pets, it's an auto battler game a la Storybook Brawl, which you've seen on Rhapsody's channel before, with a little bit of a different style in that instead of being real-time multiplayer, it's asynchronous competitive multiplayer. So there's no time limit on your turns, and the battles are played off across a pool of potential enemy teams, real enemy teams, from the last whatever, some amount of time. In the top left, we see our gold. In this game, gold does not scale. We have 10 by default every turn. And then 4 is our lives. So the next two elements are very connected. Your objective is to get through 10 successful matches, okay, 10 trophies. And you have 4 opportunities to lose before you're knocked out of the bracket. So you need to go, 10 and 3? Do you actually die on the 4th, or do you die on the 5th?
You die.
There's no on your honor, right?
Yeah, you die on the 4th.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'm fairly new to this game too, so that's part of the reason why we wanted to do it. What is the 1?
That is the round timer, which will also serve as a little bit of an indication of our level, because you level up every 2 rounds. So round timer number 1, you're level 1. Round timer 3, level 2, 5, 3, etc.
Got it. Then the 5 little pavestones with the battle pointer after them indicate our team formation. This is our board. And so in this game, you put your team in a conga line. It's just a queue of units. And then below them is the shop. It's kind of funny. The 3 gold indicates that it's a 3 gold shop. Every shop forever is 3 gold. Just all the units cost 3 gold regardless of their level. So that's something that's a little different. And as far as I recall, the little die in the top left corner indicates the unit's level, starting at 1, going up to level 6. Not level, tier. Levels are the upgrades. Tiers are the language.
Yeah, the nomenclature around that gets a little bit wonky because it's used differently in a lot of different games. But I think the level is the actual level of the unit in RPG sense is at level 1, level 2, level 3, versus the tier grading from 1 to 5. 6. 1
to 6, yeah. And then you've also got spells or consumables, usually food, that show up over on the right. And we'll get larger and larger shop front over time. That's a bunch of individual UI information, but here's the big picture, right? This is a game in which you have 2 phases. Phase number 1 is the shop phase. You've got money. You spend it on acquiring units, leveling up units, and acquiring spells to make a strong board. And then phase 2 is you take those units to battle. And you go back, you do it again, go to battle. The battle happens automatically. So that's the game. That being said, I've only played like 2 rounds of this game, and I think you've played, what, a dozen or something like this?
Yeah, roundabout.
Maybe?
It was
roundabout there, so...
Yeah, it's definitely something that appeared on my horizon, and I was like, okay, I've got to invest some amount of thought into this, but it was at the same period of time where I was not particularly investing a huge amount of thought into much of anything. So
that's why I'm excited to play it, by the way, is that I think we've both played it a little bit, and I even said it on stream. I was like, this game we can crack at least a little bit. I'm like this close to understanding some of these macro themes that you need to invest in, and I just need a little bit more time, a little bit more attention, and maybe, I don't know, like a co-conspirator, a professional soundboard to work with me. So what, me? Are you talking?
I feel so damn similarly. In fact, it's the perfect opportunity to do so. Hey, Teak. This opening store looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, I like it. So here's one thing that I observed in my N of 2 runs as a professional Super Auto Pets player now. It definitely seemed like, and this is consistent across a lot of games, it definitely seemed like in the early part of a match, you want to call it a match, the full 10 wins, a match.
Sure.
In the early, because lots of games have early game, mid game, late game, right? That you can kind of differentiate. And it seemed like the early game here was built around either picking up some units that will scale well for a while, like actually fish and otters, things that just give you stats as part of working with the units, or picking up something that's just very strong on board. So I saw a lot of like resummon synergies, so that you have a chance in the mid game to deal with the economic cost of reforming your board, right? And so you need some units that are good enough that they kind of anchor you while you get from the early game to the late game. And so the one where I did really badly, I just was like picking up stuff that seemed kind of synergistic, but my stats on board just weren't nearly good enough, and so I couldn't transition at all. Yeah. And so but that's all I know. That's the extent of my, strategic knowledge in this game.
So something that actually differentiates it from something like Storybook Brawl in a particularly interesting way in my mind is that is much more available to you for a longer period of time. You can play just towards putting stats on board, just have big boys, right?
I had a tier 1 unit at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Like I got to the 10th match and I still had an early game unit on my, it might have been tier 2. I might have removed all my tier 1s, but I had a tier 2 still, which seemed wild to me. That was really cool.
You can definitely find yourself in that position, but I think a large amount of the reason that pushes towards it, don't worry, we'll play a turn in just a second. But something that pushes in that direction is that in Storybook Brawl, sorry.
I'm not going to promise we'll play a turn in just a second. I'm not here to rush this game at all. That is absolutely not my objective. My objective is to look and think. And if we have to stare at the screen for 30 freaking minutes, then it's what we're going to do, baby. Absolutely.
Thankfully,
we probably won't.
This one's probably just a touch easier than that, but there will be some that are a little longer.
But I think we just click on all 3 of these units, right? Pretty much. But yeah, we'll get
there. Dissimilar to something like Storybook Brawl, where over the course of a fight, if you perform well and you get the slay triggers on the right minions, you can get scaling in the middle of a fight, right? So the better an individual instance has gone for you, the better trajectory you have afterwards. Nothing as far as I've seen in this entire game that happens in a brawl persists outside of it. Which means you don't have that runaway, and it means that you can play things like just straight stats on board. You can play synergies and things like that, and not have to, as I've sometimes been in the position of in Storybook Brawl, worry about, if I don't scale, I definitely lose to these other people.
Although there's some cool stuff, a mechanic that I didn't understand at first is any scaling that happens in a brawl is temporary, right? Like in your battle. If you can cause that scaling to happen in the shop, it's permanent. And there's like some really cute interactions by which you can cause the temporary scaling to become permanent scaling. So anyway,
we'll see.
Shall we fish otter?
Going onwards, definitely. So the fish has a level up ability, which give all of its friends +1 damage and +1 health. So when it levels up, that is to say we've got 3 of the fish and we've combined them, it'll level up into level 2 and give us that ability. But the buy trigger is for the otter. So we'll just give a random friend +1/+1. And the second
one
does
hoping that those... Yeah. And this just makes our board strong, but the otter is... Oh yeah, the otter's only buy trigger. Right. Okay. What's the one that has a sell in the early game? Do you have a good memory of the...
Is that mallard? Or, well, I mean, we have to roll anyway. Oh, it's duck.
Yeah.
So I was.
We could have, in theory, locked the food, but I didn't think that we wanted to do that necessarily. I feel like the honeybee can be pretty cool, though. The honeybee can be cool. I think it's usable.
It definitely can, because a lot of the time in the early game, everyone's trading 1-for-1 at a certain degree. So if you put the honeybee into your final creature, you just squeak out a bunch of wins in the early game.
Yeah. Or there's some cute things like Badger with honeybee, because Badger kills everything, and then Badger's the one that does an explosion on both sides of itself. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll introduce each of those.
Let's lock that otter, right?
As those appear, definitely. This is something I also want to introduce. You can freeze individual units. It doesn't freeze the entire store. I could freeze a spell if I wanted to, and then roll, and then only these 2 would be changed. Which is deeply good.
I love that.
Let's just send them into battle, though.
Is Mallard, is that the sell thing?
Yes, so Mallard's the give shop animals +1/+1.
Okay. But I feel like that's too low tempo for turn 2, right? So this is where I really want to start to think is like, because I do think that you could kind of make a playbook for this game, at least to get started winning. And I'm trying to identify, what are the plays which are almost always good, and what are the plays that are much more niche. And I had some luck with Duck, but it feels like basically you take Duck if you're already strong, and it's just going to be a coin across leveling.
Yes.
Right? Because otherwise it's too low tempo. You can't like just do it as a 2-cost splash of a 1/1, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? And I feel like it's in a primary position where you can either like triple it on board and you're happy with it, and you've just been collecting it. It gives you the value of tripling. When you triple a unit, the store will offer you additionally a unit a higher level than you are. So it gives you the ability to, it's kind of got the Hearthstone Battlegrounds mechanic there. Tripling giving you a unit higher than your level, so you have the ability to start working around that and building into it.
I mean, I knew the mechanic, but I didn't know that was a BGS thing. That's cool.
Yeah, big BGS.
Watched any of that game.
But I think the Duck is definitely in the best position where you use it to sell when you get to the level 2 units to give an important buff to a creature that really wants it and cannot otherwise get it yet.
By the end of the game, I was finding that the average expected stats on board for like a spell was 4/4 for 3.
Yeah.
And so this is 1/1 for 2, which even in the early game feels like not enough if it's not doing more than that, right? If it's not doing, yeah.
And final thing I want to mention before we roll on is the Ant has a feint trigger to give a random friend +2/+1. A feint trigger, as you might imagine, is on death. You can trigger a feint trigger with spells outside of the fight, and that turns them into permanent stats. But let's just get
what is that thing called? What's that? Do you remember?
Pill something?
Oh yeah, I think it's a pill. Yeah, and it costs 1, and it kills you. Yeah. Proper crisp rodents, milky rodents.
The milky fingers.
Ugh.
I kind of crisp rodents.
I kind of like crisp.
Yeah, we
like crisp rodents.
I've just been cast as Mario. I'm Chris Pratt.
Oh no! Stop it, dude. What a freaking meme! What a meme!
It's me, a Mario. What's up? Just going around. It says here you might have unconfirmed network issues. I don't know. I don't know his accent.
4 units?
Ooh.
Did they have 4? No, they had 3. They had 3. I think they just got a better stat line. Like they got a better stat line on their front unit than us, is I think what happened. Just trying to figure out how they outstatted us so well.
We see another cricket that has oh right, they outstatted. They had the fish in their front line was a 4/4, so it took out both of our big hitters.
Okay. Yep. It just had the stats. It simply had the stats.
So there's a cricket here that would feint to give a 1/1 cricket to the board. There's Apple for giving a pet 1/1, but obviously these two have sparklies on.
I like putting the fish on the board first, and then you do the otter thing, right? And do we go ahead and combo them this turn? Probably not, right?
Yeah, so you can merge units by dragging them over one another. It would try and join them here. When you merge a unit with another unit, it will give it +1/+1 by default, as well as 1 experience towards its level. I can merge all of these right now if I wanted to get them to level 2, but right now it would reward us with a level 2 character, so we'll do it next turn.
Right, I see. So then what else can we do? Maybe we end up putting 2 of them together and make a space for something that we roll into. That feels like reasonable.
Entirely possible. Okay. We could also just lock the apple in case nothing we see in the next store is appealing to us, and we just want to get more.
That's true. That's not bad. I like that play. I wouldn't have thought to do that as just a hedge. Yeah.
I like a good hedge play.
Oh wow. What's beaver? I don't think I know beaver.
Beaver is when you sell it, you will give 2 random friends +1 health.
Okay.
It's also
gosh, do we really want to go? Are we all otter all the time?
All of the time is pretty good. I will say that this has the buy trigger of give a random friend +1/+1. So if 2 otters were joined and this was the third, giving us a level 2 otter, it would trigger the level 2 ability and it would give a random friend +2/+2. So if we have a plan to be able to lock this for the next turn and instead cast an apple this turn, we can get a better effect out of our otter.
I see what you're saying. I understand. I understand what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we don't get to trigger that on the board.
Yes.
We can't do like triple them up and then okay. So then use the apple. I like that play. I like that play of just using the apple. And is it just? I think at this stage of the game, you just put it on your biggest unit. Like we put it on our front fish.
Yeah, I think that's probably got the best
just
success
to trade up, right? Yeah. This is an interesting part of these games is trying to figure out what are your stat breakpoints. Like what causes you to value trade up.
I
to
think
2 for 1,
this
3 for
will,
1.
like absolutely destroy anyone for a very long time.
Yeah.
We can leave it on
the
autoplay. We can obviously even turn that off and start having a look at some of the enemy characters, like the horse. If a friend was summoned in the middle of a battle, it would give it +1 attack until the end of battle. Even actually, if it was summoned outside of battle, it still gives it that until the end of battle. Sorry.
Will you repeat that last part again? About
Even
the horse?
if it gives the buff outside of battle, it will have it until the end of the next battle. So.
Got it. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was going to say about the autoplay. What I found is I really like to have auto fight off in the beginning so that I can look at the enemy team and be like, oh, here's what they were doing and here's their stat line, and then I let it autoplay the whole battle. It just gives me a chance to kind of try to learn from what opponents are putting together.
Let's do it then.
That makes sense.
No, I think it's a great opportunity to do so.
Ooh, are we about to get that sweet upgraded unit out of this autoplay?
I definitely think we should do it.
Are we finna oink?
We could oink.
Might not be atrocious.
But
I mean, it's a 2/2 base body that we can sell out once we get to like, level tier 3 or something. But I don't know. Feels thin, right? It feels like we should be picking up more synergy now, some kind.
I think that. So here's a meta thing I'm going to propose to you.
Okay.
I think synergy early game in this game is overrated.
Okay.
To the extent that people will often die to people just having stats on board like this. And if we continue this, we will be healthy by the time we get to a position where we want to sell everything and then buy synergistic units.
Yeah. And do some crazy in-game tiger whatever.
Exactly.
Right. So do we want to roll anticipatorily, or do we just want to go ahead and do the otter thing on this board and look at the level 3 that we get?
I think doing it on this board makes sense, even if only to open up an extra space on the reroll.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so we just chunk 2 of these together and do the upgraded thing. How do you pick here? Do you upgrade into the one that already has stats, or do you leave that as a potential target?
Leave it as a potential target, I think. Yeah, exactly.
I think you're right.
That was the exact consideration. Put the 2 weaker ones together, because if anyone's going to get hit by it, they will become a relevant minion again, whereas these are less likely to do so.
Yeah. They might literally not kill anything. Oh man, that fish is massive. Camel. Yo, camel's pretty spicy though.
Camel's so spicy.
It's very spicy. And we're stacking stats, which tends to make things like camel better. Although I did a camel run that felt really, really good until all of a sudden things were like one-shotting it.
Yes. And that will be the experience that you have for a while.
Yeah.
And unless you heavily invest in the camel and then other hurt triggers and stuff like that, that's not going to work for a really long period of time.
Yeah.
But getting a camel as early as you possibly can will buy you a couple rounds worth of power, and then you disinvest. A lot of this game,
and you put because you do armor on it. What is that thing called? Onion armor or something?
I call it Garlic armor because of Garlic phone, but it's garlic armor.
Okay, so garlic, and melon is the KO protection. It's the one free. It's a buffer, right? It's a buffer stack. Okay.
Ish. Yeah. It reduces the first instance of damage by 20, so someone can still kill you because 50 is maximum attack.
Right. Okay.
But I think here we should just take the camel and then possibly roll. I am open to the idea of giving meat bone to someone, which would just turn a unit that fish. Yeah, exactly. Which would turn a unit that otherwise wouldn't do a huge amount of damage into one that would.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. It's like, in terms of just protecting life, it could be the 3-cost play to save 1 heart, right? My voice is cracking tonight. I don't know. My soiree seems to have gotten to me. I'm not sure what's happening.
Oh, that is absolutely A-okay. The soiree has a part of the voice held within it at the time.
I see.
It's the gift that you've left. I'm not entirely certain about the meatbone play for only one reason, and that's the fishes, if they ever combine, will have so much damage that this is going to be irrelevant for a really long period of time.
And so what, we would put it on the otter, but eventually we're going to sell out of that. I mean, I guess I kind of, like, I could see locking one of them, but I kind of like a full reroll. Because seeing garlic armor so good on and specifically this available. Hey, there's the kill pill or whatever it's called.
The sleeping pill, make a friendly pet faint. And it only does cost 1 gold as well. It's got override stats on it.
What's let's look at all 3 of these units if you're cool with it, because I don't remember them.
Definitely. I think each time we see a unit for the first time, we should probably introduce them.
Hedgehog. Can I read this? Because I want to talk about this. So Hedgehog says, on faint, deal 2 damage to all. That's not all enemies. That's a judgment effect. That's all units, including your own. And I thought that this was kind of cheesy. And then I got to an end game where a board full of these effects dominated me. And the reason is, as you get through the game, certain upgrades to your units become the way that you further upgrade your board. And I had a board that really, really depended on melon armor. And when you're depending on melon armor, it only takes 1 hedgehog to decimate your whole board, because they do 2 damage and pop your armor, right? And so, yeah, I was really surprised by how much this unit could kind of punch above its weight class. Because of the meta, because of the types of strong plays that people make.
It's definitely like a good counter unit that you have the ability to pull out in instances like that. Oftentimes also people will have, like, even late game, an example of this might be a late game unit called Fly. It is a very, very weak unit itself statistically, but if it doesn't get hit, it will dominate you. So people just tech in things to be able to take those out, because usually, as you've seen, when you get into a battle, your front unit attacks their front unit at the same time. They collide into one another, right? So instead of having like a Hearthstone Battleground system where, like, first unit attacks, but it's got 7 different targets, possibly ignoring stealth and taunt and etc. Or Storybook Brawl, where there's the front line and the back line, and flying rather gets you to the back line, but other than that, you're attacking the first floor. Here, they're always going up against the first one, so the ability to kill your enemies out of order oftentimes gives you the ability to dismantle their entire synergy.
Yeah.
Do you want to take it?
We could take it because we do have Camel. It's actually synergistic with our team as it stands, right?
We do. It will be less bad for us than it will be for enemies, but we can also start teching even more into things that would take advantage of it.
Yeah. I kind of want, if you think this is strong, this is not something that I got to try. And so I would be really curious to see if we could, bring it to fruit, bring it to bear. If we can make it work.
If we can bring it to bear fruit.
If we can make it fruit bears, that's right. I'd like it to bear arms, actually. So it feels like we need to expend 3 gold here, right? So I'm thinking in terms of like tempo plays and stuff. I'm sorry, I just can't quit thinking about the tree that's covered up in bears. It's just a tree that's growing bear fruits, and it's like,
well, I mean,
it's living rent free in my mind, and I made it.
See,
that's the
you
worst.
Are familiar with the drop bear, are you not?
The drop bear?
The drop bear? You're not familiar with the drop bear? It's an Australian animal.
Oh, no.
Like, okay, so sorry. This is like one of those XKCD moments of, like, you are one of today's lucky 10,000. You get to encounter this for the first time. We have a particularly vicious species of koala bear called the drop bears that stay very high up in trees, up in canopies and stuff like that. But the problem is they drop upon pedestrians and they maul the absolute hell out of them. It's really awful.
That's so Australian. That's like textbook Australia in my mind. Is just like nature. It's gonna get you.
Oh yeah,
any day. Yeah,
walking through a lovely field. Oh look, there's the opening of a nearby wooded clearing. Oh, I'd love to stroll through. No, I'm being
besieged by bear.
It's very Australia through and through. But yes, those you could consider those trees effectively to bear the fruit of drop bears and
I guess scars. It's funny. I've heard that before, but I never put together why they were called drop bears. I've heard it, but yeah. Anyway, we should buy a hedgehog, I guess. Is dog good? I remember seeing a lot of dogs.
So dog is particularly good because a lot of people are thinking about resummon strategies a lot of the time. So they get the benefits of this over the course of the fight. But this doesn't actually grow much larger from resummon
Yeah.
strategies, it grows larger when you buy and sell units, and it actually gets permanently larger.
That counts as a summon. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. And with
So-
Fainting Pill, you can like do a resummon on your board,
Yep.
and then that's a little cheaper, and that's cute.
I do like Dog for things like that, but I think like
Uh-huh.
currently we're set up where we aren't going to want to resummon many things, and while we will want to buy and sell many things, we're going to want those to achieve some aim on our board, like buffing our hurt units so they take more hits rather than buffing a Dog.
Okay.
I would
So
probably
Hedgehog-
pitch merging these two to put the Hedgehog
Go
on.
ahead and do the otters. The one consideration that I had was like, do you ever merge fish here because we're probably going to combine the third fish, whereas we might never combine the otters, but I like the otter.
Point.
I like the just because the stat line feels slightly better. Yeah.
You're in
running
retrospect,
Camel
I
towards the
believe
back
that was
here.
correct. Sorry.
You're running Camel towards the back. I kind of like that because at this stage with no buffs on it, there is a fair chance the enemy will just kill it with their front line. People do tend to build their boards like this, right? With just a big unit up front. And so further back, that's clever. That's clever. You see, I was always putting it in the front, but yeah, at this stage of the game, it's probably going to just get decimated, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Definitely a large amount of the time. What ideally we want is, as you mentioned, garlic armor on it. Can I turn autoplay off? Yeah. There we go.
Puffer fish.
Yeah, we can get the garlic armor on it, or we can also get someone standing directly in front of it who will deal damage to it behind. The elephant says whenever I attack, I deal 1 damage backwards, so the camel is triggered.
Oh yeah, elephant is cool.
Ooh, see, they tried to put a hurt trigger with 5 health out in the front. It's not going to work for them.
Yep. Yeah, because if it dies, it doesn't go off at all, right? Okay. Oh my gosh, we just dominate this team. They get a double summon here, but
yep.
I guess they have horse to help
we get a triple kill.
Oh my gosh. Dude, that's just savage. That's too savage. Have you ever considered that there's a horse in my head? Think about that. Ooh. Yeah, just the horse in the room. We got him.
We got him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and we still had a 5-5 on the board. I mean, we were stonks. Victory.
Super effect. Hey!
Oh my gosh, there's the elephant right away.
It's an elephantine friend right there.
Oh, Dodo like hard carried me in one of my rounds. Not Kevin. Unfortunately, Flamingo is like, I really want the Flamingo to be great because of my branding. But I didn't find it to be impactful enough, at least in the run that I have.
Yeah, Flamingo, it's the statistics it gives are relatively small, so you want to like triple down on it. There is a unit in level 3 called the Whale that eats the unit ahead of it, so it will trigger its faint ability, and then when it itself dies, it summons a 1/1 version of that creature, so you can get the Flamingo back. But that's still relatively small in the actual amount of statistics it's providing to you.
It feels like you might be able to do something better than that. Whereas the Dodo was crazy because I could scale up its stats, and then it scaled up the attack stats of units that could do something really gross with it, right? Like I had a leopard at the end to where it was just doing a giant AoE attack with the help of the Dodo. And so yeah, that was cool. But I don't think we're dodos, right? I think we're elephants here.
I think we are elephants here. Before attack, deal 1 damage to a friend behind. So I'm going to pitch a play that I will happily be discussed out of, but immediately I'm looking at this and I'm like, I want elephant on the field, and I will take 2 +1/+1s to just up the hurt trigger and allow this to attack more times. That's probably not correct, though.
The reason that I would be hesitant is we have 2 fish. And I think we really benefit from potentially hitting our 3rd and like kind of finishing that line on the board, right? And this is part of what I want to discuss is how do you build kind of a prioritization structure in this game? That's kind of how I was working. I kind of was building hit initial stats, complete investments. It's actually maybe the order is kind of like this: hit initial stats, find potential future investments, and then you interleave finishing your previous investments to some level. Maybe you get them to level 2. Maybe you just get some whatever. You have to define what finish means, right? While building up some of the future investment, and then complete and sell off the previous investment, like complete and reduce position, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm definitely in that phase right now to where it's like there's still a huge hit that we can get on fish, but every turn that we go beyond this, it just becomes less and less meaningful.
Very, very true. Very
Mm-hmm.
true. How would you be with locking the elephant rather than taking it immediately and continuing to roll?
We're gonna
Why
probably
would I
roll
not
at
do
least
that?
one time here, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially
Are
like
we ever
things in the
not
shop
buying
calling you
elephant
through it.
though? Because if we're ever buying elephant, then we just buy the elephant so we can see 3 rerolls, right? Or rather, if we're always buying it, and that's the question: is are we always buying it? I don't know. I think so.
I think we should.
I think it's good enough with what we do.
Let's do it.
Okay. What's
Oh.
Kevin's back? What's Peacock again? What's Peacock?
Peacock says when hurt, gain +2 attack. So it is good. It's very good.
Yeah.
The problem we're running into is it will be triggered by the Hedgehog. When the elephant upgrades, the elephant will project their damage 2 lines back. So they will also be able to trigger the Peacock. The Peacock sitting behind the camel is in a great position. All of this hugely synergistic.
Yep.
But man, if you don't survive any hits with any of those actors, you are really feeling rough. I think we
it's
could
a lot of
totally
eggs
take
in a
the Peacock.
basket.
But
what are we selling out of? Like, do you just sell out of Hedgehog to buy in at this point? Or
I worry the answer is freeze. Keep this as our ace in the hole and then roll to try and get the fish, the otter, any of those completed.
Yeah. What's hard for us on our board right now is that we cannot sell this fish. It's like half of our board in terms of stats. And actually, Otter's pretty good too. So we need to be able to replace. It probably will be Otter first, and it needs to be replaced. Either that or the Hedgehog. But I'm convinced that we can get enough out of this Hedgehog. I'm convinced.
Yeah, especially if we have enough things that have a hurt trigger on them. If we're getting a positive effect from the Hedgehog's trigger and they're getting a negative effect, it's a giant swing in our direction.
And there's just so many resummons. I feel like every other board is resummons board. It feels like it's so popular. Oh, we're building a whole Peacock, man.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed. You ever spend 4 gold to get permastats out of this flamingo? Surely not. It's not worth it. It's like 4 to 2-2, right? Can't be good.
Yeah, it's 4 for 2-2. I mean, that's not awful. That's above the rate that you pay for them right now.
Yeah. But you have to make a space on the board. This is the hard decisions.
Okay. I think I might have solved it.
Okay.
If we sell the otter, it's a level 2 character. It will give us 2 gold for selling it. We go up to 7. Then we can buy Flamingo, put it on the field, and kill it with a sleeping pill, giving a +1. Well, actually, what we'll probably do is buy the Peacock first. Oh, wait, but then we're locked on board. No, so it has to be the Flamingo in front of the elephant and the camel. We kill it with the sleeping pill, and then we put a Peacock in the board in the back line.
I like getting out of Otter. That's definitely, I mean, obviously it would be neat to make it level 3, but realistically, are we going to be able to do that? That's a huge amount of economic investment and variance on a unit that's like really in the way of leveling up our board, right? Okay. Yeah, and then we're open to getting more stats out of the fish, for units that we care about in the long run. Okay. I like that. I forgot that you get 2 gold for selling a level 2. I like that, I think, a fair bit.
It's a handy one to have in the back pocket, certainly.
Yeah, because these units do need stats, don't they? They simply do. They simply do.
All right. Send them out into
battle. That was pretty decent. I think that was pretty decent. I think we gave ourselves a chance to hit hits. I think getting into the 2 Peacocks was kind of a signpost, right?
Yep.
Felt like it.
That's the point at which that can no longer be refused.
Does every enemy team have a horse in it?
So a lot of people are very intent on building around resummon strategies. And look, they are powerful, but the only way I've found to be able to beat those people is to just have so many stats on a minion that all the resummons die to it, and then you just...
Well, and actually they perform not great against like on damage effects and just big health units, which is exactly what we're doing, right? I guess the reason why so many people go into resummons is that you can play it through the whole game. Like you really, throughout the whole game, there's a chance to do resummon stuff, but I definitely don't feel that you can force it. Like if you're not seeing the units, it's just, economically unviable.
I certainly agree. We've also seen a new spider here. On Feint, it summons a tier 3 pet as a 2/2, which you can use because it's a tier 2 character itself. You can just put this on board and then kill it with a sleeping pill in order to get a 3 tier out on board if you want to. There's a little bit of a polywoggle action there. A Swan that at the start of the turn gives 1 gold, and then Turtle, who faints to give the target behind Melon Armor, we mentioned earlier, take 20 less damage once.
I like the Swan, by the way.
Yeah, the Swan comes out with really good stats as well. It's like, is it 2/3 or 3/4? It's 3/4. Right?
I think I don't remember, but I remember feeling like it was good enough for the economy that you get.
Definitely agreed.
Oh man, they did a lot of work with that single unit. Maybe we end up switching Hedgehog to the front to help with specifically that interaction. Oh, but we might not have killed the turtle, huh? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Trying to metagame the positioning is so hard.
It's really tough. It is difficult, but I do really like the challenge of it as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Perfect.
Metal.
Exactly what we needed.
Nice. We win. Barely, but we did win there.
We definitely want to hit another spike. Ooh!
There's the garlic, dude. That's huge. Yeah, because even taking 0 damage, if you are getting hit, counts for the on damage effects, which is really nice. You know, I feel really good that we won that, because also that was a transition turn. We sold out of a lot of our stats, right? So now that I'm thinking about it, that's a great outcome. Yeah.
Definitely. Like, you know, being able to even pull even on that turn would have been good for our transition turn. Although I think the actual operation of Garlic is it cannot lower damage below 1. So I think you still take 1 instance of damage.
Okay. I didn't know that. It still seems like it's probably pretty good, right?
Absolutely. We should definitely, like, it's going on someone in some way. Definitely this round.
Yeah.
I think we should just cast that and then honestly take the Peacock and roll. Like, just leave ourselves as open as possible to hit something relevant with the next 3 gold.
Question is, are we garlicking Camel or are we garlicking Peacock? I'm leaning Camel.
I think so as well.
Just because the Camel will be generically useful whatever we put behind it, you know, even if we, like, in the long run, I feel, and soaking damage earlier rather than later feels pretty good, because that's when the resummons are. Only rabbits all the time. Have you managed to use this unit, by the way? Because I'm really fascinated by these types of meta-scaling effects. I didn't put it on the board.
I'm deeply, deeply fascinated with them as well. This and the shrimp, like, you know, selling units gives a random friend +1 health and things like that. Like, I try and get value out of them. And it feels like whenever I get enough value out of them to justify them, I then immediately lose.
Okay, so you've struggled with this too.
Definitely,
okay, I mean, I've only played a couple games, so you know we're learning.
Do we want to?
I wonder if this is. Oh yeah,
sorry.
That could be worth, huh? So I'm of 2 minds. I like either buying a win or just buying rolls, and like trying to roll and lock and roll and lock and roll and lock to just get 3 good plays for next turn.
So I think that's also a really, really good idea, especially because right now we are looking, you know, we're level 3. So we're looking for creatures from level 1, 2, 3 to pair with the ones we have on board. And being able to actually spend some time doing 3 rolls here might be able to get us to finish our Peacock, Camel, Elephant plans really, really
and
quickly.
Finish the fish and potentially start to open that space. What do you think about putting Hedgehog in front of the fish? Oh, fuck that freaking Camel. Hey, Pufferfish does something damage related too, right?
It does. When it is hurt, it will deal 2 damage to a random enemy. A lot of people invest deeply in this because obviously as you upgrade it, it's also going to upgrade that ability, deals more damage to a random enemy. But also, it feels like you kind of do this or Peacock in my mind.
Right. You can't have every unit on your board being hurt explosion. Although I don't know, that's what beat me in the fight. I'm telling you, I lost match point against a team which was just all Armageddon effects and a snake and a tiger. The snakes was like particularly evil, man.
Yeah. God. So the snake. So wait, was the tiger duping? We'll talk about the tiger and the snake.
Tiger was duping the snake. Yeah. Tiger was duping the snake effect. So it was just spit and venom.
I think we should probably just also buy the rest.
It's probably too much. But yeah, I agree. Okay.
We also see an ox. When a friend ahead faints, it will gain melon armor and +2 attack. Not overly relevant.
So could work with the resummons. Do you like salad bowl? It's actually decent.
I love salad bowl.
Really? Okay. Yeah. So salad bowl is this is 3 to 2/2, right? And I said by the end of the game you get 3 to 4/4. But at this stage, I'd say that's a pretty good return. Pretty good, especially if you're pretty locked in on your units.
Man, I mean, are we pretty locked in on our units? Do we want to lock 2 salad bowls?
The thing that I don't love about salad bowl here is that usually, so on most rounds, random buffs are pretty good for you. But we have 2 of our units that we're really, really hesitant to see random buffs on. One is Hedgehog. It's just kind of a waste, right? We don't care to put a ton of stats onto Hedgehog. It's okay if it makes it kill more stuff.
Yeah.
And the other, weirdly, I think is Fish.
Yeah.
Like, we cannot afford to have this on our board forever. And so it will feel really bad if it keeps growing, because we just get basically, in the financial world, we call this golden handcuffs, right? It's like you want to get out of this thing, but it's just too lucrative. You can't afford to. And as it stands, Fish is stuck, baby. Like, it's just too strong. But eventually it's a liability because it's not doing anything, right? So yeah,
Agreed.
I don't know.
Well, so to think
I could see locking one.
Ahead, I
that
would
feels like equivocating.
Lock one for a little bit of safety, possibly.
What other spells do we care about, right? What other spells do we care about? More armor types?
Yeah, it's like garlic armor.
Yeah. Can you get canned food at this point, or is that level 4?
Level 4. Canned food is an increase in the stats for all of the shop animals from this point on. So think of it as like
it helps with pivots, I think. If you're strong enough to take it, it helps with pivots.
Definitely. Like late game, being able to pick up units that are actually relevant on board and aren't, dead immediately to some random effects.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
But to think 2 turns ahead, so when we hit level 7, we are going to hit level 4 as a character ourselves. So if that's the turn that we triple either the camel or the elephant, we immediately spike to a 5. And the 5s are build arounds. The 5s and 6s are build arounds for your strategies.
Yeah.
So I feel like these being slowly getting these isn't that bad, but also having extra gold available next turn to be able to be certain that we are hitting a triple when we hit level 7 is going to be important.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we don't bother locking a salad ball.
I feel like we're so invested in units. I agree. That's you spoke into my mind. Which
I didn't move the. Sorry. I would have moved the hedgehog as well. So.
No, it's okay. I think it's a total crapshoot. We don't know which will be better. Like here, I think we actually had the better choice. I think.
Hopefully.
Right? Because I think we want to kill this thing first.
That's not gonna work though.
Oh, are we losing here though?
Perfectly in any other scenario. Yeah, so this is the whale that swallows the unit ahead. So it swallowed a unit that gives you 2 units when that unit dies. So this is a resummon build really doing what it does best.
Yeah. This might just be 2 stonks for us, huh? And we don't have enough splash damage effects in the back. We're just gonna be. Yeah, we're looking fairly hosed.
Yeah.
Oh,
and this one
yikes.
summons 2 2/2s.
Yeah, it's a good thing that it's just a loss, because otherwise this is... If this were Storybook Brawl, that's like the turn that you take 16 damage, right?
Yep.
It's like brutal. Yeah.
You go from winning to losing in 1 turn. I mean, man, that's an armor as well. This is also
I know, right? Do you put it on the peacock? Like,
I think so. Yeah.
What's giraffe?
The giraffe is give a unit ahead, +1/+1 at the end of turn. End of turn is when I click the button that is sitting behind Teak, so it happens outside of a battle, so it's permanent stats.
So it's permanent. Yeah. That's pretty sweet. Gosh, is this, as much as I like, do we lock the garlic armor instead of playing it and buy these 2 units and then roll, or is that not enough stats on board? Like, I guess if we're not hitting the triple, it's probably not enough stats on board.
I think I'm fine with locking the garlic here, because what else do we want right now on 3 in terms of spells?
Fish.
In terms of spells, sorry.
Unit spell. Yeah. Nothing, right? Yeah, nothing. Pretty much nothing. I
Oh.
agree. Fish spell. Oh, and there's the elephant to lock for next turn. That's massive.
There is indeed. May I pitch?
Lock both of them. Use the garlic. Get 2 level 5s. You filthy nutter. Yeah, I mean, do that. That seems really good. The question is, will we win this round? I'm worried we're about to be on our honor here, on our last life.
I suspect that might be the case.
But the good news is we're about to get much stronger. They did fish, but better. How did they do it? It's about to be level 3. Wow. What's that? Plus 3 for the board, or plus 4 plus 4?
It's 2-2 at that point.
Okay. Well, it's 2-2 at level 2, but at the level 3, that's what I'm like. If they get the next one,
it triggers on level up, so it's only got 2 triggers.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you won't have a level 3 effect. Right. Right. That makes sense.
I think it just ends up saying this unit does nothing. Like it has some text that's like
just fish.
It's done.
Yeah.
Just fish.
This is just a fish.
Oh, how's this gonna go?
Right? Are we? Oh, but their peacock hits so hard.
Yeah, but our camel will do that.
We get to kill it. So maybe we win. I think we win.
Oh, baby.
I'm a driver. I'm a winner. Winning this round seems nuts. Oh, but do we? Did we tie?
That's the garlic boy.
Oh my gosh, garlic armor coming in clutch. Yo, I think you made a sweet line there. I liked the locking the garlic and then rolling so that we could play around timing. That felt really nice.
Yeah, that is definitely something that has been like a quick thing to try and develop. The ability to lock, because we've all formed ideas about how you operate around locking and rolling in games like this, but it completely changes when you can lock one thing and then roll the rest of the store, so you can kind of hedge a bet in a way.
Yep. If you're gonna roll anyway, exactly. So proposal, it's elephant first because I want to see the unit in case we want to get stats on it.
Love it.
Scorpion. It's a pretty good unit to take stats, actually.
It is. It will mean we have to sell Hedgehog.
Which might be worth.
I think so, yeah.
Right? And just having a way to nuke enemies' front line.
Because a lot of people right now, such as we just saw, will run a unit in the front line that's just a 2020 or something.
Yeah, or 2020. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, so I didn't get to buy this before, but it sounds like you quite like the Scorpion.
So
it's tough because it's a Medusa, right? In storybook terms, it's like you don't expect it to do much more than go 1-for-1. And so you need the 1-for-1 to be really good.
Yes. You're very much leveraging enemies mispositioning because they don't expect you to have a Scorpion yet.
Right.
Get that bad boy.
Which I think I'm about. And if we get enough stats on board, then it actually can go 2-for-1. I like cow a lot, by the way.
So good.
Are you a fan of the cow?
I love it. So the cow is going to, on buy, replace the food shop, so both of those spells, with milk, free, that give you +2/+2. So it's +4/+4 to a character, but it also triggers if that character cares about eating shop food or any of those kinds of things. We could straight up divest from fish right now.
Oh my gosh. It's scary and might make us lose a round, but maybe it's the best play. Divest from fish, buy cow, do the upgrades on whoever's got the most staying power, which could be Scorpion, but it might be one of our backliners, huh? Who do we want to...
This is also doing the 1 damage to both friends behind, so it's now actually... Like, if this attacks 2 times, it's way better.
So that's probably our target, actually, is Elephant, because it just got the spike. I think I like that play a lot. Like, Fish has done its job. And now... And we'll even get a roll at the end of this, too. It seems pretty good, man. You feel good about putting all these stats on the elephant? I think so, right? Part of me is like, should we be putting this on Scorpion or on something? But I think it's elephant. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's elephant right now.
Yeah.
Because I think if elephant attacks like 3 times, we don't lose a fight. And if we give it, we have like the ability to still scale with it by giving it melon armor. The thing is, we're constantly going to be battling in this game that want to upgrade and complete the set of lower units versus recognizing that a higher unit would just be more powerful to put on the board in the first place.
Yeah, that's the tension of the game, right? I'm just curious to see what this reroll is, because cow is kind of a free sell too, in case we want to replace. Is that your deer in a headlights look? Do you like Bambi, or are you looking at the chicken?
I'm looking at the
more garlic. Everything only garlic.
All garlic all the time.
When does garlic fall off is the question. Like, are we approaching it?
So we're definitely approaching it.
Yeah.
Garlic is definitely, I mean, it's definitely getting weaker at this point. I don't know. I might be judging that the enemies are less weak than they actually are right now, because I'm kind of expecting that we can just kill a lot of things with this already set up. But if the enemy just runs over our first 2 minions, then maybe we're in rough place.
See, the garlic is funny because it really is, it depends on the meta, right? If the enemies are doing lots of small resummons or area effects, then the garlic armor's still good, and it'll be good to the end of the game. But if they're just building big units, like garlic armor against the team that we're against right here is probably not doing anything. Their stats are just too big. I do wish that we had scorpioned this Kanga.
Don't I just as well.
It's gonna roll us, man. What are you gonna do though?
The kangaroo says, when the friend ahead attacks, gain +2/+2. This is level 2 kangaroo, so it says +4/+4.
It just had crazy stats. It just had crazy stats to begin with.
Was very large. Oh boy.
What are you gonna do? You gotta lose some. Oh my god, just wrecked. Absolutely freaking wrecked, man.
Everybody gotta die sometime.
We're on our honor. Oh. Knockout is the slay effect, right? When you knock out an opponent. Okay.
They need so much, in my mind, so much statistic investment to start taking advantage of this at this point that it becomes really hard to take unless you already have the ability to support their statistic advancement on board.
Yeah. What we really want to do is hit Peacock and Camel, I think, and just get our spike, right? But also we need to replace this cow. So what kind of unit would be a bridge unit for us?
So I think a really good bridge unit for us right now would be the turtle. The turtle gives a unit behind melon
Level
armor.
3.
So
tier 3.
Yeah. And if we can give melon armor to the scorpion, that is, the scorpion now takes out 2 enemies.
Yeah, that's true. True. Although it's kind of funny, right? Because we're using a slot to make that happen.
Yes.
We're putting turtle in, so they're doing nothing. We've got 2 guaranteed takeouts, but we're just 2 for 2 at that point. So, especially if enemies are doing resummons.
Oh wait, hang on. I was about to say,
it replaces the peanut.
Yeah,
you can't do that with
okay, so a unit may have one effect of these kinds of things. So the statistical advantages of Cupcake and Apple and things like that, you can apply as many times as possible, but an effect like Garlic Armor will take the same slot as Poison Attack, will take the same slot as Melon Armor as well. So that actually won't work. Oops.
Yep, I'm glad we remember that. But to be honest, I think that might be, in a way, to our favor, because the more I think about it, the less I'm convinced that using up 2 of your board slots to just kill 2 enemies comes out ahead often enough, right?
The reason that I would have still stood by that play would be the ability to get out of it by using a sleeping pill and then just end up with a unit in one slot that does that. But that pipe dream doesn't work.
That makes dang it. They thought ahead. They planned. Pear is decent. Why is that snail so?
Snail,
because we lost.
Buy. If you lost the last battle, give all of your friends +2/+1 for 2 gold, because you buy this and then sell it.
We should certainly do that.
Absolutely.
Pair is not bad, by the way. It's decent stats.
Yeah, pair for the 2/2 on a single unit.
Because you can aim it is the key. But I'm not convinced that... I think we've gotten to the stage of the match to where it's going to be hard for us to get enough stats on this elephant to, like, guarantee multi-hits, right? Peacock is here.
Shock. When a friend faints, gain +2/+1.
Feels like it wants resummons, right?
It definitely wants resummons. It's very powerful in a resummon build, but I worry it might not be particularly powerful here.
Is it just good enough on board right now that we sell snail and buy it? Like, think about it. If we put it at the very back, then it's a 4/4 with plus what?
+2/+1 per animal death. friend
So it's
umbrella.
+8 +4. So it's going to be a 12-8. Is a 12-8 just like worth putting on the board to get us through the next match?
So yes, and I think the big reason that you want to do that, in fact, is because Shark is a very, very powerful unit later on. And we can go from this build to selling everything and then just putting resummons back on board and taking advantage of Shark.
Yeah, okay.
Not that we will, but it's
we
powerful
could.
now, and it leaves us open to be able to do that as that gets more powerful.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Are we going for level 3 elephant?
Yeah, I don't think so. Exactly.
I think it's too much cost, right?
Yeah.
It's too much cost. And do we want to hit 3 things? Like, yeah, I don't know. Basically, we're spending 3 on +1/+1. Yeah.
Do we ever...
Do we think at this phase we're fighting enemy backlines? Ooh, I kind of like it.
Do we?
Maybe, man. This is where it's the ultimate mind game against an infinite enemy pool.
Yeah.
Because what we have to ask is the enemy building a backline carry, or have they placed a frontline carry? And I think the backline carry is slightly more likely at this point. But so are area effect damage, and then we get no kills. A little tricky, right? Yeah. I think I like it.
Hedge that back.
You're gonna keep it at the front? Okay. Now that we've considered it, you see, if we had never talked about this, then the outcome wouldn't matter. But now that we've discussed it, we're cursed. Please be kind. You nailed it. You freaking nailed it, baby.
Get him.
Get him.
Ooh, yeah, hit that unit, please.
Go ahead and do that again. Just keep it up.
Fill your boots, bud.
Oh my gosh, is Elephant gonna get to do it again? Oh yeah, the doggo is scary here. The doggo is real scary here, but
we should be fine.
I think we've got him on the back of Shark. Shark feels good. I wouldn't have made this play before of just put the unit on the board because their stats are good enough. They're ahead of curve, right? What?
You suggested it. You would have come around to this. I guarantee it.
I guess maybe I would do it. Hey, what's upgrading Scorpion do? Anything?
Nothing. Does not upgrade when leveling. However, it will give you obviously stats on the Scorpion, and it gives you a triple if you get all of them. So you get the unit of level higher.
Got it.
Which still has
what's
value.
Spicy Pepper? Spicy Pepper is like a splash attack. Ooh.
You attack a second enemy for +5 damage, so you just project some damage a little bit further.
But that's an aura buff, so we couldn't put it on the Scorpion. That would be
unfortunately
OP. Yeah. Shoot, do we just roll this whole store, man?
I think so. I don't see any of it making us much more powerful.
Yeah. That's okay. We get to see a lot of stuff. Penguin is a funny one. It's got like such a poor stat line, but if you get it early, it can really carry your mid game. So was my read.
I've put myself a lot of times in the position where I will try and triple on turn 5 so that I can spike, because you turn level 3 on turn 5, and then I will spike my ability to possibly get a penguin. And if I have tripled in order to get a penguin, then by definition it's already useful, so I can put it back on board.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely feels like this is something you need really early on if you're going to make use of.
And this is pretty good.
This is similar, but only to a single target. And you can get this a little bit later, I feel, in the monkey, because a lot of the time the front target really cares about the stats in that way. But all of these are investment plays for a build that just needs to put itself on board.
But imagine if we could have put that on board right after we got Scorpion, right? I mean, that's pretty sweet. You're stacking up a potential double kill Scorpion. You need a lot of stats to do that.
There we are.
There's more elephants. Actually, that's 2/3 of the way to level 3.
It is.
But it's all of our economy. Are we strong enough to do that? That's so much.
I don't think we are.
Yeah.
In this game, I think it's also pretty clear by this point that we have no hand. So it's on board or you sold it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that means we can't do something like hold turkey in hand, friend summon, give it +3/+3, and then try and find synergistic things with the shark and the turkey.
Yeah, but it is. I'm kind of looking at it and I'm like, do we lock that bad boy? Are we gonna do turkey shark?
I wouldn't be against locking this and then rolling with the intent to sell as many of these as is needed to get a board full of resummons. Because at that point, the turkey actually overwhelms.
Yeah, yeah. But it's going to take us 2 turns to get there, right? So what's our core? Are we keeping like elephant, camel because they're so invested? And then potentially selling out of... It's kind of tough.
It is kind of tough. I would be more in the line of thinking about possibly selling almost everything.
All of it.
This would be where I'm like, this build, currently, the culmination of what we are putting on board gets worse over time rather than better over time. It is getting less powerful rather than more powerful. And to continue to invest in this is to continue investing in a losing strategy.
What about, but hear me out. This is, if we needed just like a, a wooden, what do they call the bridges where it's like a rope bridge and it's there. You can use it, but it's not a permanent structure. You know what I mean? Anyway, elephant, camel, and shark can still perform while we get in turkey and a summon, as an example. Because we've got these, that way we've put so much stats into elephant, and if we hit the camel upgrade, being able to use that to put value into the shark. But is the consideration that things are just going to one-shot camel at this point? And so like its effect doesn't go off at all? Is that the consideration? Okay.
Its effect goes off in the instance that elephant gets to attack. And, the ability to extend this is elephant gets melon armor. It's one of the reasons that the elephant didn't earlier get garlic.
Yeah.
But
and then you've got at least 2 hits.
It feels like the extension of that, especially because the camel itself is still level 1 and is still giving quite small statistics. It feels like...
Yeah, I guess part of me hopes that we could hit that upgrade, but maybe even that is out. Okay. Yeah, I'm coming around. The reason why I'm asking this is we cannot afford to replace our whole board, even if we sold everything. Like, we would have had to already hit all the stuff.
Yeah, so the big thing would have been hitting things that summon multiple resummons themselves. So if we hit the sheep, which when it dies summons 2 rams, and then the whale to eat the sheep, then suddenly literally like turkey, shark, and you win.
Yeah. But that's a lot to... I mean, at this point, our unit pool is pretty big. There's another turkey, but can we afford to lock the slot? It's tough without having actually hit the resummons. I think that might be bait, man.
Give me a second. I think it's not. Not only do I think it's not bait, I think we absolutely have to do it. And I think what we need to do is sell 3 units on our board.
We're going to die next round. Oh, you're saying sell, buy the things, put them in, and then roll and hope we hit a summon?
No, the summon is the rooster. Rooster faint summon a chick with 1 health and the same attack as this. So
we've seen this unit a couple times. Oh, yeah, but was it before we got to turkey?
Was before we got to turkey. So now the rooster comes onto board and becomes a 6/6 if we have 1 turkey. If we actually free up 2 spots, then it gets 9/9. Or sorry, it becomes 9/9. Summons a it'll get the extra 6, so a 15/7 when it dies.
Yeah.
The problem is the turkeys themselves are going to have no stats at all. They're dead.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's tough, man. Here's the question too, like, do we keep Scorpion because it trades well, or do we keep Camel because it's a chance to hit a level 6 or tier 6? The level and tier thing I cannot. My brain simply cannot absorb this information for whatever reason.
I think a lot of the time what we're going to have to do is like buying the 3rd camel would still feel bad. It's 3 gold investment for something that we then want to get off board.
Well, but the good news is we hit a level 2, we sell it off, so it's a 1 gold investment. It's 1 gold.
You're right.
That makes it look a lot better. If the game said you can spend 1 gold to look at a tier 6, you spend it. Those are big bad boys.
So,
if we had, this would be so much easier if we had a life, right? That's the thing that's making this so hard. Because otherwise, if we have one life, we're like, it's okay. We just have a bridge turn. We'll start doing some of these things. We'll keep the camel. We'll die. It's fine. Yeah.
What if it's lock and roll? Because I worry, even taking the elephant, the scorpion, and the peacock off the board, leaving the camel there. We then put a turkey on the board. It's a 3/4. We put another turkey on the board. It immediately gets the stats from the other one. It becomes a 6/7. And then we put a rooster on board, which becomes a 9/9. The only problem is the 6/7 and the 3/4 are negligible statistics to an enemy. They are most likely going to be able to knock both of them down without really losing a unit. So then the rooster and its resummon has to dominate the field. And then ultimately we end up with 1 death, 2 death, 3 death, 4 death, 5 death, 5 deaths feeding into the shark, and the shark only ends up getting +10/+5 out of it.
Yeah. And it's just not enough to carry, right? So what is the suggestion? Will we lock the rooster too?
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be locking the rooster. It would be, are we stronger with what we have on board? And then just trying to give ourselves an option next turn. Effectively, do we need to gamble that we can live this round to then win the rest of the game?
Yeah. In which case, should we be spending oh man, wait, there's a faint spell too. How does that work with turkey? And a
with
rooster?
The turkey and the rooster. So if the rooster goes on board, it will get all the stats, obviously, of the 2 turkey buffs. And then if you killed it with the sleeping pill, you would get the chick. And the chick would permanently get the statistics from the rooster before it, and then the extra turkeys.
Are the turkey statistics permanent?
Yes. Outside of battle, yes. Inside of battle, no. With many things.
Okay. But it's not going on the turkey. It's going on the thing that's getting summoned. And so now we've just lost out on the ability to do that in a round. Okay. Curious. I'm trying to figure out a move which is where we get to set up well. Because right now we're not getting any stronger. And we haven't made any play to get any stronger. And so I'm starting to look at spells. Because I do think that's one thing that spells can do for you. Or, food items. Is just get stronger enough this round, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Dang. Can we... Weird question. But are there 2 units that we can sell off this board to just put in 2 turkeys without losing too much? No.
Unfortunately, taking apart any part of it, we heavily decrease the entire value of that board.
And we would have to stack them at that point, and then we're losing on so much value unless we hit the 3rd, right? So we need... Dude, I'm at an impasse here. I'm really struggling with this bridge. What's our tiebreaker? I mean, this is where not playing enough really hurts you, right? Because you don't know how strong the enemies are. And so maybe the answer is we just have to trust our gut, and then we'll reinforce our heuristics after this round.
I think that's definitely the kind of phase that we are in.
Yeah. What's sushi? I don't think I've seen sushi.
3 pets get +1/+1.
Ah, so 3 for 3/3.
Some nice stats across the board.
It's actually not bad. Yeah, spiders are resummoned too.
So
right?
It is. Gives you a level 3 as a resummon as well. If that gave us the ram in particular.
Oh, it's a random tier 3. So you could get even more resummons. So that's not bad necessarily. It's just
definitely not bad.
We're getting so close. We're getting so close to putting the pieces together, but we're locking so much of our board that we're not it's our gambling is becoming even more gamble. Each time we roll, I become more afraid. Do you think
as do I
that there's any chance that we could sell Scorpion here and put Spider in the front and then roll once or twice more and still win?
No. I think we are in the position where almost our only win comes out of Scorpion killing something powerful and this being able to attack multiple times.
So maybe that means that we're locking Spider here and we're continuing to roll. Are we literally building our board?
I don't know if we can lock Spider, is the thing.
Is it not good enough?
I don't think
it's good enough. But then what is if Rooster wasn't good enough either?
Rooster was, to be clear.
Oh, okay.
But we just couldn't take it this turn, so it needed to wait.
So we might as well search. Okay. Yeah, because there is still better, right?
This
We've
could be
said there are a few
3-3.
things.
This is like a pump for this battle, which if there's anything we
Yeah.
need, that might be it.
That might be it. Put it on Shark or on Peacock?
Peacock.
Yeah, I think so. Oh man, it feels rough. I don't know.
It does.
But maybe you can't really think that if we do lose, you can't really think that this is the round where we lost because we've already lost 3 lives, right?
Yeah.
So you can't pin it all on this one ultimately.
Oh, so that kangaroo is going to get a lot of attacks because it's got the mosquito in front of it. The mosquito is going to No, it's not going to resummon. That's not a cricket.
We might actually be okay here. It's going to get 2 attacks because of the melon armor. Oh, and that was an upgraded turtle. That's pretty scary, actually.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be close, but maybe there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance.
We break the melon armor with camel, and then we kill the kangaroo with peacock. Oh my gosh.
No, we don't.
Oh no! It got out of range by 1. GG.
You know
we
the
gotta
annoying
go again.
thing? We would have killed the giraffe and the tiger. Both would have died. So the peacock getting that 3-3 actually turned out to be so close to exactly what we needed.
It was so close, and then we would have had our setup with the turkeys. GG. We gotta go again. We gotta go again. We gotta go again. We have to do it again. Can we pause right here though?
Oh, sure.
Can I take a minute here to talk about analysis and improvement in general?
Please do.
Are you cool with that? This is like a meta point, okay? So, one thing that I really like to think about is what are my actual goals? And a common goal that I have and that I think we have is learning and improvement. It's not about winning now. It's about a long-term trajectory towards becoming better. It doesn't have to be a race, but that's the goal, is to be taking actions that result in improvement over time. And what's fascinating to me about that last game is we had that moment to where we kind of ground to a halt. It was right in the last couple rounds. And what we were talking about, we're like, well, we're not really sure. We don't know. We don't know how strong the meta is right now. We don't know if this will quite win. Are we right at the edge? We're kind of trusting our intuition. And what's fascinating to me is that in the world of performance and improvement, right at that moment, it splits into 2 universes. Where you either have to spend like infinitely more time, because we could have sat there longer and we could have done simulations and we could have dug into the compendium and we could try from first principles to build enemy boards to get a sense of what their stat line would look like. It would maybe take us 20 hours. It's like literally we're talking about a full, a full work week to try to achieve that knowledge. Or we go in the complete opposite direction, which is we accept that we simply don't have a big enough model. We simply don't have a large enough inn. We don't have enough experience. And so we make a decision fairly quickly and then reinforce and we play again. And what's fascinating to me is that in terms of that stated initial goal of long-term improvement, there's not a lot of valuable space in the middle. You either commit to the really, really big analysis or you just continue to play the game, because eventually you're just spinning your wheels, right? Like if you're not doing the big analysis, then you're not figuring out what the other enemy teams look like, and so you just have to play. And I think that's a kind of fascinating thing about games like this, is that you do hit that point to where you either need to play a lot more or analyze a lot longer. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
So it does. However, I think there is a middle ground that exists, and I think it exists specifically in, obviously having as many instances of runs of a game as you need in order to gain as much experience as you possibly can. You need the data set to be able to, have any data to work off of to build these models.
Yeah.
But you can then also do that analysis after the fact, right? Like, okay, so that went that way. How did it end up performing? What can I use from this as a takeaway? That feeds into not only my kind of like analysis, but also my experience going into the next version of this. So and I think that ultimately a lot of things can be boiled down, especially in games like this, like Storybook Brawl, like Super Auto Pets. A lot of the time you can get to a point where it's like end of the game. Okay, what happened? Exactly right. We got to the mid game and we realized this board has no trajectory
Yep.
And it's not getting better at the same rate that the enemy boards are getting better when they're purchasing high-tier units. Okay, how do we get out of this? So we attempted to get out of it by riding the line and then building ourselves into a stronger strategy. Didn't work in that instance, but if we realized it earlier, maybe it would have. However,
but at the end of the day, that last round comes down to stats on the board, right? And I guess that's my point. There's always going to be value in, as long as it's done carefully, there's always going to be value in post-analysis and in kind of knowledge. It's not so much knowledge retention, knowledge acquisition, it's more knowledge integration. You're taking it and you're putting it back into this model, right? It's like this model that you're reinforcing and changing and reinforcing.
Your outputs become your inputs from each run. Cyclically.
Yep. Yeah. And I guess that's what specifically what I'm talking about is that decision point of what are enough stats on board to win. We just didn't know. We're just kind of we're really guessing at the end of the day, right? But you can reinforce it afterwards. That being said, I do think it's fun to think about the kind of abstract sense of learning, but there are two very practical things that I think we can take away from that. One is, it is now clearer to me than ever why people force resummon builds in the early game. And we kind of said it in the beginning, which is there are options throughout the whole game, but we really felt it in that game, right? Like seeing Shark, seeing Turkey, and feeling that it's hard to get them in line without already having resummons. That pivot is tough. That pivot is really tough. And so I definitely get why people start so hard on that and you see so many horses.
That is so good. I need to take a second here because the things that arrive on 5 that are important for a resummon build, you get your Shark, you get your Turkey.
Yeah.
Notice.
No summon.
No summons, right? Your resummon comes back on level 6 when you get the Fly, right?
Okay. Yep.
What do you need if you are ultimately going to want to pick up on curve your Shark or your Turkey? You want resummons already available on the board because you can't really afford to buy those and the resummons at the same time. That is effectively exactly what we ran into. And something that I was not even thinking about in terms of the early progression from your resummon build to your resummon build. I mean, it's a natural thing to consider, but also...
Right.
What was the resummon that I was hoping to hit in that instance?
Right.
Ram? Just Ram? One card?
Yeah, exactly. We were seeing good cards. Like Rooster was a good card. It was too hard to get it on the board. And this is actually something I ran into also, which is that it feels like really good stats in the early game work. But basically what I think I found there is it does work as long as you never lose. Because basically what you're saying is, I'm going to use big stats to win my first 4 matches and then have enough lives to be able to just pay in life for the pivot. Because you can't do it economically. You simply don't have enough cash.
And
right?
To be clear, if we didn't get crushed on round 1 to a 4-4 fish, we would have had an extra round and we would be rolling with Turkey still.
We'd still be in the game. Exactly. Here's one thing that I wanted to investigate, and if you'll humor me, I wanted to pop open that customize button to look at the pets. What I'm really curious about is we started to tunnel vision on the Turkey. Were there any things that we could have gotten to further the progression of what we were already doing with elephant, camel, peacock?
Yeah. So
were
that's
there
something
tier 4 or 5 things that we could have bought to do that?
That's something that I think is really interesting to talk about as well, because when I was mentioning the build that we were working towards was starting to get worse and didn't look like it had a trajectory to tick back up, it's because hurt triggers stopped happening.
Yeah. So it's just a dead end. Yeah, because everything starts killing everything.
Yep.
Okay. That's fascinating.
Except Gorilla. But that's to gain Coconut Shield to negate the next attack.
Yeah, and then you're very lucky if you get to do that twice. It's just like, But, I didn't think... This is so fascinating. So you actually just said something, and I misinterpreted it, but it taught me. Check this out. What you said was, hurt triggers quit happening. And what you meant was, literally, you quit finding units that have hurt triggers. But what I interpreted it as, hurt triggers don't happen. It doesn't matter if your unit says hurt, because the stats start to get to the point, the effects start to get to the point to where you just can't guarantee that hurt triggers go off, right? And that might be one of the biggest takeaways, is that as lovely and cool as the hurt builds are, overcommitting to them will just totally lock you at that level 5 turn or that tier 5 turn. Because it's, yeah. I don't know. I'm curious. Do you see anything here that like maybe we could have picked up?
I don't think so. I think that like ultimately what we ended up, like if we wanted to continue supporting that build, we were going to have to try and buff them using other units, like buy a bunch of cows and get a bunch of milk on them, or have penguin or monkey out super early or things like that, right? Like it feels like
you can get pretty big stats. Like the game that I took to the final fight, like Trophy 10, had a dodo at the end that had like 35 attack or something.
Yeah.
And that unit was still on the board and it was still contributing.
I fielded a 50-50 straight up before. Just like, this unit has 50-50 worth of stats. You can't grow anymore, but it's big.
You can't be bigger than this. Yeah, exactly. Dang.
And okay. It works pretty damn well. Hey.
Yo, that was a sick match. I really enjoyed doing that with you. I want to do it again. That was really fun. And I really enjoy the kind of analysis at the end, because that's what I'm missing is what are the lines, what are the pivots, what are the bridge units, like just a little bit more of taking all those puzzle pieces. You know, when you start a puzzle, like a jigsaw puzzle, I'm talking a traditional puzzle, and you take all the edges and you put them together, and then you group the colors. That's what I need in this game right now. I've got all the pieces, and I just need to kind of make the edges and group my greens and my yellows and my purples. And then that's like...
I couldn't be more down. Let's get it done.